And every time you look in the computer, you look at something else, or you do something else, remember, he's crying for you. His heart is aching for you. Intellectuality, if you are so focused on sexualized life you are living in, your attention span will be less. Your focus in your studies, you can't continue study for hours because you are thinking in something else. It's haunting you intellectually. Psychologically, I told you, some of you, it looks like an obsession. Obsessive compulsive disorder. It's an obsession and you are compulsive to finish it at least by enjoying yourself in your body. It will be a compulsion. But medication only will not help. The program will help. Unfortunately, some of you psychologically could go into depression. Some committed suicide because they can't imagine themselves deacon in the sanctuary around the altar, and at the same time, for a few hours they are in front of the computer. I told you that pastors in the United States, many of them committed suicide of this double life they are living. Emotionally, you could reach emotional deadness, total insensitivity to others, because of the adrenaline rush. Whatever happens in others doesn't excite you. The wife talks to her husband, he's totally insensitive to what she's aching for. It's not important. Selfish and insensitive to others. And he cannot attend so long to what you are talking about. His attention getting less and less. His mind is so busy. Socially, he has a group of friends, if you could exchange with one another, or he's a loner. His main friend is a screen in front of him. He enjoys himself by himself. So most of them are introvert, or they become introvert, less sociable. And socially, he looks to women only to the outside of their bodies. They don't value their mind, their heart, or their spirituality. Do you want us to leave, it seems? So women, for the unholy person, just a body with certain measurements. There is no man who is living on pornography who wants to marry someone who is a bit overweight. They don't. They want them very thin and skinny, but with feminine characters. I don't know how. But this is what they are seeing in the computer, unrealistic measurements. That's why, as I said, their marriages is a complete failure, because nobody could compete with the porn figures. I am seeing all that. Morally also, they are corrupted. Sexually, they are unable. Why they are unable? They are unable to practice sexuality with their wives because they prefer masturbation than with their wives. They go to extramarital affairs more exciting, with more adrenaline rush. So the wife is crying. Her husband could be in another room with the computer, or another room enjoying himself, or in the same bed enjoying himself. I've seen men complain that their wives are enjoying themselves by themselves in the matrimonial bed while the husband is there. And wives are complaining that their husband are doing that. I'm telling you the insensitivity, emotionally dead. He or she doesn't value the partner. They reach that. But as I said, all this could be cleansed, but an advice for all my pretty young daughters who are here, be careful not to marry a sex addict. God bless you and help you.
There are another question. Why are certain personalities more vulnerable to addiction? Is that fair that God allows that?
I cannot say that certain personalities, you mean, maybe not mean certain personalities, you mean certain persons. Because personality, you have dominant personality, you have emotional personality, you have perfectionist personality, you have certain personality, you have personality disorder. None of them is more vulnerable. Maybe you mean if you were exposed earlier when you were young to sexuality. Maybe your brother or your sister or friend in the school exposed you earlier than your age to sexuality. Give you a magazine or a picture or whatever. But the Christian basis, which the church teaches you, and the Christian principles your home is teaching you, will keep you protected by rejecting to take the first cigarette, by rejecting to go into the first step in that very wild road of unholiness. So there's no special personality. Maybe some situations happens to some of you which will make you much weaker if you are abused sexually when you are young. But we know anybody who was abused sexually when he was young, his eyes opens earlier to sexuality. But in this country and in most of the countries, we deal with these cases in counseling earlier when we were young. The first line of defense are the priests. They know. And they know what to do just to protect you in God. So many were abused sexually in all countries, but not all of them are sex addicts. Why some of them only? Because they did not get into the road of holiness. The road is struggle these days. They know from their home, from the church, what they should do, but they don't prefer to do it. I cannot excuse myself. I'm a victim of sex abuse, sexual harassment. That's why this victim mentality could allow me, give me the right to go to sex addiction. No. You don't know what you are doing to yourself. Through God, through counseling, we limit what happened to you in the past. We limit that to time and place. It happened, say, 20 years ago, where in a certain place, and it's finished. Why I'm dragging it with me? It ended already. And Christ was there who protected me. There's no damaging effect on my body. And God protected me so I will not get hurt more. I have seen so many who are physically abused, which means that extent the wife, the woman who's telling me that she still remembers when she was on the floor, her back on the floor, and her dad was working in the army with his army boot coming to her face. She still see the under surface of the shoe coming to her face. And then there's no single scar on her pretty face. Who put his hand between the shoe and her face? The Lord Himself. I have to thank God that He protected me. I don't drag on with the victim mentality. Because victim mentality has so many signs and symptoms. And I have to get out of it. I'm not a victim. Satan tried to make me a victim, but Christ protected me. And a whole new person with Him now. And I think all the priests know how to counsel, and if they don't, they will refer you to a Christian counselor to help you, if you have something like this in your past.
Thank you. Are there any hermits living among us in our community, or do they isolate themselves? They are, but we don't see them, but we don't know them. But by faith, yes, they are. At the time, now the food will be taken away, so you will have no lunch unless you go straight to the lunch food. But let us say, Our Father who art in heaven, thank you, Dr. Nabil, very much for your wonderful lecture. We wish if we can have more time مع حضرتك بس يعني God will arrange next time. Let us say Our Father. Thank you, Lord, for your great love and great support for us. Let us really benefit of every word we have heard. And let us use it for not only ourselves, but for those as well who suffer and who are trapped and who are really seeking help. May the Lord help all His children everywhere in the whole world. Oh Lord, thank you again for your great love for all of us, for having Dr. Nabil with us and having all these truths and love and care from you. Hear us, O Lord, through the prayers of all your saints, who we all say, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Can you please go straight to the lamp, please? Quick.
So you